I'm gonna be so for real with y'all. I'm gonna be so for real. Kind of crazy. It's already Thursday for the uploads. Kind of crazy. Welcome to episode 10. Holy shit. We're on episode 10. This is one case, by the way. This is one trial of the Ace Attorney DLC. We kind of left that in a cliffhanger, though. So basically, we need to get hard evidence that it was Jake Marshall doing some fuck shit.
I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
I definitely don't. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one who did it. What can I do? Looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. I quoted that before, actually. I quoted that shit. The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise, but rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place?
What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime, yet he did, despite the chance he might be discovered later as it had been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason.
Oh, to hide the clothes. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out the locker seems to indicate he opened it in order to put the cloth inside.
So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth?
Perhaps the video is the key to all of our unanswered questions. God, we're not doing the fucking video again.
Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape.
Let's save the fucking game.
After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth.
Which, I mean... Oh, that doesn't matter. Is it that easy? It's just the outfit? Alright, hold on. So what could it be? I also did just notice the fucking fingerprint on the thing. Are we really certain it's not his outfit? Oh, wait. That's it. Enter the evidence room, and I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat?
You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. I can't believe I caught that shit. I knew it was the clothes, I just had to prove it. That should have taken me way longer.
Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we wouldn't have had to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. Alright, it seems the time's come. I have to fucking cross-examine this shit? I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
So the supposed victim was really you?
There's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. Way too much blood for a small donation. Okay, so I need to prove... I think... I think I probably need to press everything. When you say it, you mean I even have to ask, partner? SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. He was going to completely end the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. Wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine. That day was my last chance, that's why... Why'd you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal. I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card?
I stole that the morning of the incident.
That was why he filled out the lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. Okay, so essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means whatever he just said.
You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in that shorter of a time.
Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID?
I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. Why did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry it had to turn out that way with me knocking him out and everything. What happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one?
So you knocked Officer Meekins out and...
So you do your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it'd make a difference, though. The security tapes erased every 6 hours. If all had gone to plan, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in the struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby.
So what you're saying is, on that day...
See, I feel like I've got to have some kind of evidence, though. You know what I mean? That's gotta be it. Let me save. I'm gonna try a handful of things. For starters... No, it's gotta be new evidence, though. That's what I want to know. Is there something in the case files? Neil Marshall? Neil Marshall? Neil Marshall? Hold on.
I feel like I'm getting way too sidetracked, whatever the fuck that is. Hold on. It really doesn't help us at all. Video for the... One more time? Head investigator was Bruce Goodman. I legitimately have no idea what the fuck it is. I've pressed everything, so I have to do something. It's gotta be that. I can only assume it's that. No? Alright, give me a second to, like, figure this out. Oh, hold on. Hold on, wait. When you open the locker, the evidence was already gone.
What? Mr. Edgeworth, where's that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor. Okay, something's going on here. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty, so someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? I pressed the last statement, by the way. I think it's that bullshit where, like, there's a certain order of operations, and you just don't know about it. I gotta start, like, trying that first. Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself, so have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in his salary. Not that salary cuts are even ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case, this one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with.
The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
I feel like I have to press that? Probably, right? The case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence.
I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about.
What happened?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. Oh, okay. They say that last part. They say that last part because they want you to read that and find out it's his brother. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall's mentioned here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. You related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor?
You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. No, I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed, and the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. So that's who that other person was that I might have mentioned. I don't know who they are. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. They were desperate to prosecute the killer. God, he's so scary. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That's the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with this resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. To Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery's finally been cleared up.
No murder took place in the police department that day.
The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance, it's gotta be more than just that.
So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. Objection! Wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Objection. Which is why we examined the incident at the police station today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. The other response making a single word or less. Arr! I rest my case. What do I even do? What do I do about that?
It seems this trial's reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Just proving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today's true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize. That would end up proving Lana guilty. Fuck, bro. You saved Meekins, you fucked Lana, bro.
Now then, the time for this verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant.
Hold it! Your Honor, wait!
Emma!
The defense has an objection, a scientific objection, right?
What do you mean, right?
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian?
Your Honor.
Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please.
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute, I'll give you 3.
I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out that SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again.
So did you find something?
No. Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that all?
Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student.
And I'm just an attorney.
But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh boy.
Time's up! Now then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here.
Is there any problem with this?
We're tired.
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of any more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on his locker? I've got to object. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, right?
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yeah, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something's missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yeah, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. How much you want to bet it's the badger, bro?
It's the fucking badger.
What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger's not here. So, watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the scene of the crime. Well,
what?
That's right. So long as the blue badger's dancing there, it'd be impossible to place a handprint at this spot of the locker.
What? So that means... just exactly what does that mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker.
Don't look at me, I didn't put him there.
Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically.
Emma.
On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that means the blood was left there before the blue...
So that means the blood was left there before the blue badger was brought in.
Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. I see. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown in the tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. Objection! That's ridiculous! I refuse to accept your absurd claim. Objection! The murder portrayed in the security tape had been proven to be fake. However, it does not explain the blood mark found in the locker. Objection! So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur?
To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room.
That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this.
Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur?
Proof? There's only one piece of evidence that could show that. And I think it's the, ID record. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required.
An ID card? Oh, the ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be
4:40. Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done?
Shit. I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
It's clear the luminol test. It's clear from the luminol test that the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining, 7777777. Talk about a lucky number.
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP! Find out whose ID number is 777-77777. It's one too many sevens, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card, at least at present.
What? Explain yourself, son.
The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher, someone who is so-called executive officer. You don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. Objection! But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge is filed against an executive, is accepted.
An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Objection. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself.
Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yes?
No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. It's not 7777777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
KSL-9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence?
Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor?
I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth.
2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time,
Occasionally, we felt powerlessness of the law. At least I did.
Oh. Lana!
I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't!
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why won't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
But Lana!
Even if it involved forging evidence.
No way, no way. Plot twist.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
No. No! Oh, they're mad. Order! 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 Order!
Lana's remarks caused such a stir, the chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. Revolution! The trial would have to wait until the following day.
To be continued, bro.
They're going crazy. Holy shit, bro.
Yo, save the game, bro. Day 3 investigate. We get one more day of investigation, bro. I know it's a little bit short, but I'm going to cut it here just because of how perfect that is. I'm going to cut it here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.